Welcome into the Handycast for Tuesday, February the 11th. We're just a few days away from the start of the LSU baseball season as they take on Purdue Fort Wayne starting at 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon. I'm Charles Hanagriff along with former LSU coach Dan Canevari. Last week we talked about the hitters. Today we will talk about the pitchers. Dan, you've been a pitching coach for a long time. This has always been my theory, and feel free to disagree with me. You got way more experience than I do. But every time I look at a pitching staff at college, I say the one thing: if you got to, you're going to win a title, you got to have an ace. And look, I've seen a lot of great pitchers come through LSU, seen a lot of great teams. Never saw a team win a national title without a big guy up at the front. You know, you can put together a bullpen. Maybe you're a little weak defensively. Maybe your team doesn't run a lot, but without an ace, you are going to have a hard time winning a title.
Right, because you've got to match up against anybody in the country on a Friday night or the first game of regional, the first game in first game in Omaha. You've got to match up your guy against their guy, and you got to be able to know it's going to be a close ball game or you're going to dominate on the mound and win that ball game. It sets the tone and the momentum for the whole weekend.
The guy that you throw, no matter who they throw, that doesn't matter home or away.
You don't have to think about it.
Right-handed, left-handed. He's the guy. And LSU's got a strong history with these aces, with championship teams. You know, Paul Skeens in 23. He was the ace's ace, right? But the Ojays and the Coogan's and the Tallets and the Renato Colemans and, guys that, go down in SEC lore, the Eddie Arnolds, the Mike Sirotkas, those guys.
The Brett Laxton.
Yeah, they went out there and they beat anybody. And Ben McDonald was pretty good, too, right?
Yeah, he wasn't bad, Ben.
So this year, the guy I think that we're looking at is Chase Shores. You can pick him out of a crowd. He's 6'8", 250 pounds. 2 years ago, before he had to have the Tommy John surgery, he had a 196 ERA in 18 innings and he was developing in, I thought, that year as the heir apparent to Paul Skeens. And then he had the surgery, and, that wipes out a year, and there wasn't any use in trying to bring him back late last season. So, first of all, I want you to talk about coming back from the Tommy John. And then the second thing is, this is a big man, okay? Big velocity. He was throwing 99 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour when he left 2 years ago. So can Chase Shores be the next LSU ace?
Yes, he can, and it's because of the medical improvements and the familiarity, and unfortunately, the number of people going through Tommy John. The rehabilitation process is locked in. 90% of the guys come back better than when they went in, meaning before they got hurt, they come back, they're better, they're repaired. There's great rehab specialists, unbelievable doctors. Of course, at LSU, we have the greatest doctors in the world. So I don't see any problem. There seems to be no glitches in his recovery. They took their time. He's 100% back. This kid's going to be one of the top pitchers in the country and be a high pick.
What about the mental aspect of coming back after you're off that long to really let it loose and trust that, everything's going to be okay?
Yeah, you just got to keep going. He's had a long rehab time. It hasn't been shortened. What happens is when you get out there enough on a Friday night and you're in a 2-2 ball game, there'll come a point in time where you forgot you were hurt and you'll just get back into competing and letting it rip. And I think he's going to be there, as they all do. They just have to get over that hump.
The other thing is when you get a guy with velocity like that, they always talk about a secondary pitch. When Skeens was here, he worked on that changeup a little bit, but he could 90% of the hitters out with, a fastball and 99% of the hitters out. Fastball, slider, and that was plenty. So developing a secondary pitch for Shores, what do you see there?
You got to have that breaking ball you can throw in any count.
And can he?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was doing it before he got hurt. That's something he can pick up again. It's a feel type of situation. But if you can throw a breaking ball in a fastball count, then that makes the fastball even better. When you throw 99, which I wish the only time I ever saw 99 was when I was on a freeway in Florida. I mean, I just don't know what that's
You
like.
didn't hold a gun when McDonald pitched at all.
Yeah, really. But those guns were not the ones today.
No, they're a little souped.
Yeah, they're a little soup today, kind of like the bats back in '98. But no, I tell you what, he's going to be fine. His breaking ball is excellent, and of course, Yeski does a great job with the pitcher, so he's got him right.
I tell this to people every year that the difference between pitching on Friday night and the difference in pitching on the other days of the weekend is different. Um, it's the same hitters that you're facing. It's the same team that you're facing. It's the same 9 innings. It's the same 27 outs, but it's different. The mentality. I know you had to coach guys. Hey, listen, when you're going to be the Friday night guy, it's different.
You're the alpha dog. You're the guy that sets the tone. You're Michael Jordan. You're Kobe Bryant. You're LeBron James. You're Barry Bonds. You're the guy that sets the tone. You've got to be ultra competitive. You got to be fiery, and you got to dominate. And it sets the tone for the whole weekend. Skip doing skip math through the years. See, if you win on Friday night, then you only have to win 50% of the games the next 2 days.
Win the series.
Yeah, so you can win the series. So that's big for the team to have a guy that they believe is going to get them the win and set the tone for the weekend.
It's all mental. Okay, you're facing an ace on the other side, so your margin for error is probably a little bit less. But that Friday night pressure, I can remember a number of times through Skip and Paul and now Jay. We get questions like, well, look at this guy. He's got an ERA of, 2 or whatever. And why don't they think about moving him to Friday night? I say, he's got an ERA of 2 on Sunday, or he's got an ERA of 2 pitching, in midweek games or pitching in relief. And it's just different when you go into that Friday night role.
Pressure's there.
Yeah, very much so. Take the pressure off by getting your game together at Marucci Sports. Get to the Hitter's House, 5801 Segan Lane, or now the new facility they opened up last fall, 1801 Airline Drive in Metairie. Members access to the cages 24/7. Bullpen cage reservation opportunities, 15% off of the retail store. Your discount there in their expanding retail division, and all the Marucci aluminum and composite bats made for you there. Current and former big leaguers founded and they operate this company, Marucci Sports. Also, all of your fielding gloves, your batting gloves for baseball and fast pitch softball, training bats and tees, baseball, softballs, helmets, bat accessories, glove care, and of course the world famous bats, the aluminum composite bats over at Marucci.
They've come out now in the baseball season coming up. Now they're into footwear.
Yeah. The retail division is continuing to expand at Marucci. Check them out at MarucciSports.com. The rest of the rotation, we're going to take our best guesses here. We think that Cade Anderson, the left-hander who pitched in 18 games a season ago with 9 starts, will figure into that weekend rotation. Dan, last year as a freshman, you called him a future first-round pick.
Well, he's not a future first-round pick. In my mind, he is a first-round pick. I spoke to a couple scouts who I trust. He's going to pitch on Friday or Saturday night. He's up to 95 miles an hour. Remember, he came off Tommy John surgery.
He missed his senior year in high school.
Missed his senior.
Yeah.
Well,
he played as a hitter, right?
He was a center fielder and a hitter. Great competitor, great guy. But if he pitches well on Friday and Saturday night, he's going to be a top 5 pick in the country. If he is average but above average, he'll still be a first rounder. So, I mean, this kid's left-handed, 95, great curveball, good command, good composure. They want to see the competitiveness on the mound, and hopefully that, like you're talking about a Friday night guy, if he develops, you're looking at 2 Friday night guys pitching on Friday and Saturday, which is what Jay Johnson's really looking for.
4-2, 3.99 ERA last year, 38 innings. He struck out 59, so the stuff was there. 20 walks, and that's the number that they want to come down.
Right.
And
he was pretty good, but he'd have streaks where he'd lose it a little bit, and that again is maturity. And remember, he last year was coming off the Tommy John, hadn't been on the mound. So I think this year, having a whole year to prepare, no injury there, no rehab necessary, just going out and figuring out how to be a better pitcher, I think he's going to be outstanding.
I'm trying to get into the psychology here a little bit because anybody can go out there and say, throw strikes. Well, he knows that. Okay. When you're trying to cut down on your walks, you're working on your command. How do you.
Well, you're working on your secondary pitch in fastball counts. You're looking at moving your fastball and hopefully your breaking ball around in the zone. So meaning you can throw the ball, not just throw it over the plate, but you can locate it in the zone. You can work to the hitter's weaknesses. And the bottom line is you want to get ahead in every count. You want to be ahead to every batter. You want to be 0-1, 0-2, 1-2, and then you get your strikeouts. You can't strike them out in the first or second pitch. So I think knowing that I got to get ahead, I might get some weak contact, give up some strikeouts for some weak contact, and that's a maturing thing.
Throw some more ground balls. They're more democratic.
Speeds the game up.
Yeah, it does.
Jim Hawthorne would appreciate that.
Yes, he would have. The third pitcher that we think has got a great shot to start on the weekend is Anthony Ianson. Right-hander, he's transferred from San Diego, was 6-2 with a 3.07 ERA there. Dan, this kid pitched for Team USA. There's a lot to like here. 6'2", 6'2", about 180 pounds, 85 strikeouts in 82 innings. But what the number I liked the best about him out there was 190 batting average against. So there was some the balls in play weren't hit very hard, and the strikeout total was good.
That means he's got swing and miss stuff, and he knows how to pitch, and he gets off. Pitcher's goal is to get bad swings, bad contact,
right.
And obviously he does that.
Here's what concerns me about him. 2 years ago, Thatcher Hurd came in, and we thought, okay, this kid was very highly touted out of UCLA, had put up really good numbers out there before he got hurt, and had big time potential. And they pushed him out there at the beginning, and it didn't go well. The crowd got to him, I thought. It looked like he got rattled a little bit. Now, he settled in, and by the end of the season, LSU doesn't win the national title without Thatcher Hurd. I don't know what the biggest crowd Ianson's ever pitched in front of, but again, we're talking about the pressure of SEC play, the box. Routinely, crowds of 4,000 to 7,000 or 8,000, which is probably more than he pitched in front of at San Diego, I'm just guessing.
For the whole year.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, we were talking about Mac Bingham last year, right? Mm-hmm. It's still not the SEC. It's California baseball. They're great baseball players, but they don't have the crowds, and that's a factor. But that's why people come to LSU. That's why guys transfer from California to LSU, because of our great fans that we have, the pressure the fans put on them, the exposure, the TV exposure, and most of all the SEC competition to get them ready for Pro Bowl.
Guy goes out there, and you can see the crowds affecting him. You're the pitching coach. You go out there. What do you tell him?
Hey, man, just relax. The bases are still 90 feet apart, still 60 feet 6 inches from where we're standing. You're here for a reason, okay? And you've always done this before. Try to blank out the crowd. Use it to your advantage when they're in your favor. If they're against you, don't worry about the crowd. You've got your teammates. Just go back to what you did your whole life and throw the ball over the plate. Focus on you and the catcher. You're the number one guy out here. The batter-hitter confrontation is really the main part of the game. Let's just get back to where you've been your whole life.
Does it work?
Sometimes.
My favorite pitching coach out to the mound discussion was when I think it was Ron Paranowski, pitching coach for the Dodgers. He went out to talk to Hideo Nomo, and so he's going out there. Nomo's rookie year. He was a rookie of the year that year, and for whatever he's struggling at this time. And so here goes Paranowski out to talk to Nomo, and the guy says, "What do you think he's telling him?" And he says, "Well, he's probably telling him to calm down." I say, No. Nomo doesn't speak English. What's Paranowski telling him?
What's he got? Yeah.
What's he going to do? We're brought to you by Dependable Storage with 8 locations across Louisiana and 1 in Gulfport, Mississippi. Matching any competitor's pricing and offering convenient online rentals and payments. You got to move all your stuff in. They'll give you a free moving truck to new rental move-ins, clean, secure, and conveniently located facilities. Check out the website, dependablestorage.com, for all your locations, pricing, and rentals. Like Skip always said, at Dependable Storage, we want your stuff. Let's talk about William Schmidt. This is a name that is very familiar to LSU fans around Baton Rouge because he prepped at Catholic High. 6'4", 190 pounds. And at Catholic High, he went the video game like 9-0, ERA of .44. That's 0.44. 102 strikeouts in 62 and 2/3 innings. And Catholic plays a pretty good brand of baseball. They won the state championship his last year, and this is about as high a level of high school baseball as you're going to get here.
It's the highest level in the state of Louisiana, high level around the country. I compare my comp. William Schmidt's in the same situation as Cade Anderson was last year.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy that comes out there, he pitches on a Tuesday night and hopefully dominates, gets his feet wet, handles the crowd, which I'm sure he will from playing in Baton Rouge, and then comes in and works in the bullpen out on the weekend and groom him to be a Friday or Saturday night guy next year.
A lot of people, Schmidt was looked at as a number 16 prospect last year. Could have been a first rounder, okay? Whether it was the money or whatever, LSU got him to school, okay? So when you get a prospect that's that highly thought of and he decides to come to college, which is rare, there's still not very many of these guys, even with NIL, I think people would be surprised to say, why is he not in the starting rotation from the beginning? And again, we go back to that. There's a transition. Catholic High plays a great brand of baseball. They don't play in front of 8,000 people at Alec Box, and that's what he's got to.
Well, the biggest thing for a pitcher is you can play the best brand of baseball going, but after the fourth hitter, it's not the same in high school that you're going to see in the SEC or that you're going to see it even on a Tuesday night, because the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hitter in college was the 3-hole hitter that batted .467 in high school.
Yeah.
So you don't get that. You don't get that breather. It's constant competition. You got to get used to that. And you're not going to strike out as many people or as easily as you did in high school because you don't have those strikeouts at the bottom of the order. Guys that are strikeout pitchers and dominated like that, they have to learn that it might not happen like that, like it's always done. So you've got to be careful. It's a tough adjustment for those kids.
Okay, so you gave the comp to Cade Anderson, the right-handed version of that. What's the pitch mix look like for Schmidt?
Fastball, curveball, coming out of high school and working with the change. He'll have a 3-pitch mix by the time he gets in the middle of the season that'll be in the game. Remember, you're working on it in the bullpen, but to bring it in the game, you got to ease it in. You got to take your time, and nobody better than Nate Yeske to do that.
Remind me, Anderson started a midweek game on the road early in the season last year. I want to say it's Southeastern.
Yes.
Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
You know where LSU goes the 5th game of this season?
Southeastern.
No, they go to Nichols, but it's Well,
the difference for Anderson, that was his home game for him.
Yeah, that's right. He's from the North Shore.
Yeah, he's from
right?
St. Paul.
Yeah, but they sent the point I'm making is they sent Anderson out to see how he would react to an adverse crowd. If you've never been to an LSU game in Louisiana when they play at somebody else's park, when they go to McNeese, when they go to Thibodaux, when they go to UNO, when they go to Northeast, wherever ULM, wherever they go, it's the biggest house of the year for them.
Oh, makes their budget for the next 2 years.
It makes their budget, and it, at least from a crowd standpoint, is the closest thing you can do to simulating the pressure of pitching on the road early. And that's why they sent Anderson out there last year. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if William Schmidt got to pitch in that game against Nick. Just a guess.
I think you're spot on that one, and it's a good testing ground to see where you're at.
Yeah. Gavin Guidry, the last 2 years, has pitched really well for LSU. 22 appearances last year, 24 innings, 36 strikeouts, and a 259 BA against. I think they tinkered around with the idea of maybe making him a starter. He's been more of a closer. Now it seems like, Dan, with the starting pitching depth that they've got, that Guidry will close some games, but they're looking to extend him a little bit, be a long guy if necessary, somebody who can come in and bridge maybe a 2 to 3 inning gap.
Riley Cooperish.
Yeah.
Where he can come in and he can close, he can come in. He's very portable. He can go either way, very flexible that way. But and rightfully so. He wants to extend his innings. He wants to go a little deeper. And they want to, with that experience, they want to get him in the game. He could be a guy struggling. He comes in the 5th inning and he tries to take it to the 7th or 8th inning for him on a weekend. And so, we'll see how that works. And of course, Guidry, great competitor.
And what I like about him is, I think you can feel comfortable bringing him in with runners on base. The breaking ball is going to get you some ground ball outs, maybe get you some double play balls. Plus, you can get the strikeout with it. So, um, I don't think he's a guy that you have to hesitate with bringing in with runners on
A lot
base.
of confidence, a lot of experience. The crowd won't bother him. He's pitched in Omaha.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a very reliable guy to bring in.
With 25 years of experience, Lake Urgent Care is dedicated to providing quality care along with minor illnesses and those ages 3 months and up. 17 convenient locations: Baton Rouge, Hammond, Livingston Parish, and Ascension Parish. They offer occupational health and weight loss solutions. As a seamless extension of Our Lady of the Lake, patients can access care from anywhere with the My Choice Patient Portal. Our urgent care centers are open 7 days a week. Simply walk in, check in online, or schedule a virtual care visit at lakeurgentcare.com. When LSU played in the regional last year at North Carolina, one of the other teams that was there was Wofford. Wofford's ace last year was Zach Cowan, a right-handed pitcher, and he is transferred to LSU. 5'11", 203 pounds. He was their Friday night guy a year ago, Dan. He was 10-2, 3.35 ERA, a lot of innings, 110 innings pitched, 124 strikeouts. We saw the game that he pitched in the regional last year. It would be easy to pigeonhole this guy and just say, you know what, you could put him as your Tuesday night starter and maybe win all your Tuesday night games. But I think the plan is to use him as a long guy on the weekends as well and spot him in during the week.
I think that's where he's going to sit for us. And, a guy that has a lot of experience, again, like Gavin Guidry, but not at LSU. But like Gavin Guidry, he's not going to get rattled. I think it's a great spot for him, and I think he'll settle into that role very comfortably.
It's still a Friday night game that he's been pitching for Wofford, and I like the fact that he went out and took the ball every time. 110 innings that's a lot of innings, man.
Carried it.
I think Skeens finished his year, including the postseason, at somewhere around 125, 128 or something. So if you pitch 110 innings in a college baseball season, that's a ton.
That's a lot.
So I think you're going to see him a lot. A big innings eater for LSU. Let's talk about some of the newcomers, and maybe the most likely candidate to close out of Massachusetts is a kid named Maverick Rizzi. Dan, you pick him out in a crowd. He's 6'9", 253 pounds. This is a big man. And he's going to have a chance to close for LSU.
That's a large human being. Again, freshman, got to see how he handles the SEC. Come from Worcester, Mass. It's cold weather baseball, not a long season. Got to see how he does. A lot of potential there. Big arm, big arm. But he definitely passes the bus test.
Yeah.
When he comes off the bus, he's scary. When he comes in the game, he's scary. I think it's one of those work in progress. Give him a little bit to start and kind of ease him into it and see how he handles it, taking in small bites.
I guess my big question with him, you coached some really tall pitchers. Brian Tallett was now he was left-handed, but he was about 6'7", okay?
Right.
McDonald's about 6'7". There's a lot of moving parts there when you got a 6'9" guy working mechanically.
Working mechanically, they have to be sound with their mechanics. The good thing is, and the reason everybody gets drafted, if you're like that, is because the leverage of the mound. They're up high and they got to throw downhill. So you want to make sure their mechanics are tight. They can repeat their motion. A guy like this, if he's going to be a closer, he's just got to learn how to throw from the stretch and try to keep those mechanics as tight as you can.
For a young pitcher, I would imagine that's challenging, but he throws strikes and he's going to be scary as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard stories about, Randy Johnson, who was 6'10", throwing, you just feel like the ball's dropping out of the ceiling on you.
Plus his arm's closer when they're that long.
Yeah, I mean, you're not throwing the whole 60 feet 6 inches there. We're brought to you by Bayou Apparel, helping local businesses communicate their message since 2009, an official LSU licensee. Whether you've got an established brand or a new one, Bayou Apparel design experts can help you create eye-catching designs that fit your company's message. Logos, event T-shirts, promotional items for your business. Call 225-928-9090 or go to the website at bayouapparel.com. Let's talk about a few more guys that can look to see some time. Connor Ware, left-handed pitcher out of Pearl River.
Very good.
Okay. Well, see, he jumped out there. 180 ERA last year, 159 the year before that, 43 strikeouts in 38 innings.
Very good. Talked to a few scouts about him from Mississippi. Great competitor, lefty, can get it done in there. I think he's going to be a key component coming out of the bullpen.
And the other thing about Ware is I hope we'll see if he can go multiple times on a weekend because of these top 9 guys that we're talking about. We were talking about the top 9 pitchers as we see it going into the season. There's only 2 lefties, okay? And left-handed pitchers are like $50 bills. You can never have enough of them in your pocket. So I'll never that'll always be how many left-handed pitchers you got? 147. We need 2 more. He's one of only 2 that are in that top 9 right now.
I survived with it being left-handed. Are
Yeah,
you kidding me?
Helps a lot. There's not as many of you guys. You think his style translates into multiple appearances in a
Yes.
weekend? Because you brought up Riley Cooper earlier. To me, that was the most valuable thing about him is he had a rubber arm. He could go out there multiple times in a weekend. He's going to throw a strike. You might hit him, but you're going to have to hit a strike.
Right.
Hopefully Ware can be.
I think you're going to see that with Ware.
Yeah.
Great competitor.
And Kason Evans, freshman out of Houston, Texas, 6'2", 194. Probably going to be a guy that they, find some work for here and there, but he's got a chance to help them.
Right. He's going to pitch this year. He had a big fall. He was one of their top guys in the fall of the newcomers. They came in with that great freshman recruiting class, number 1 ranked recruiting class. So you're going to see him pitch. He's going to get a lot of innings in this year.
We're brought to you by Dana Brown, law offices of O.C. Brown. So for your legal needs, we've used Dana and his team for a number of things over the years. So if you need that initial consultation, it's always free. Go in and talk to them, see what they can help you out with. But more importantly, they're going to be your friends. They're going to be your law firm for a lifetime. They've carried on his father OC's legacy for the last 30 years, and they'll continue to do so. Give them a call, 343-1111, 225-343-1111. On the web, it's OC Brown, OSSIE Brown.com. Dan, it's always exciting when we start the season. What are these guys in just a couple of nights? There's nothing like opening night at Alec Bucks. It's going to be opening afternoon this year, but these guys have been either to the Cape, pitching in high school, all the way through fall ball, all the way through preseason baseball. But it's here on Friday night.
A lot of nerves early on. Guys don't sleep the night before, especially the new guys. They get out, they see the crowd, they heard about it, they've seen it on TV, but when you get there, it's real. A lot of energy and adrenaline burned up early. Can you sustain it? The one thing Jay's got is the depth and the amount of players he's got. The other team, for them, they just went to Disney World. Like they've achieved all their dreams. It's their Omaha. And so they'll have a lot of adrenaline early. I think you'll see it close early, and then as the adrenaline starts to wear off and it becomes a normal baseball game, I think you'll see LSU start to dominate.
You know what I like on opening weekend? I like games 2 and 3 because game 1 is all of that stuff you were just talking about, and some of it, doesn't. Let's all calm down. There'll be 9,000 people in the park. Well, maybe it's afternoon game. Let's say 6,000 people in the park, 7,000 people in the park.
Opening day at LSU, that's a holiday.
2
in Baton
o'clock.
Rouge.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, full house. On Saturday, there'll be half that many.
Right.
Okay, let's just be honest. But it's still more people than a lot of these kids have ever played in front of. That's when it becomes baseball, and then you get into the routine.
Right.
So
Once you get through that opening day, it becomes a little bit easier to deal with.
We'll look forward to talking about that opening weekend next week when we hook up with you. For Dan Canevari, I'm Charles Hanagriff. This has been the Handycast.